Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, Black Power in White America. Well, it's Black History Month, and I have a confession. I am anti Black History Month. However, in coming to the studio today, I think I ran into a person who best describes my mood, my feelings of black people. A woman was walking up the street and she had on a t-shirt and it said black joy, black joy, black joy, black joy. She had the right ideal. And her right ideal and perspective of blacks was not necessarily looking behind, it was looking to the future. And as I promised last week when I spoke to you, I said that I was going to bring forth a program titled Black Power in White America. And it was based on something that I wrote recently, and I have that, and I'm going to read it on this program, stopping here and there to describe why I am feeling black joy, and I'm also anti Black History Month. I know it sounds strange, but stick with me. I have a few things to get on my off my chest about how white people uh, enjoy this uh, Black History Month and a few other things, and we'll get into it by going to my Medium page. Now, this Medium page is where I do an awful lot of my writings. Medium is a platform for people who write on various issues. And my latest post on my Medium, and if you want to look at some of my 164, 165 posts, you'll find out Alan Jones is off his rocker. I mean, you'll find out I have a very interesting perspective on life. But in uh, reading the first three paragraphs here, I'm going to set myself, basically up for what I'm about to talk about. And it goes like this: promoting Black Power Month in a white power America. For Black America to continue celebrating Black History Month is basically blacks struggling to come up through a status quo tunnel. This must change. Therefore, I have declared January Black Power Month, not ignorant of the fact Black Power Month in a white power America seems separate but equalish. Now, when I say it seems like it's separate and equal, of course, I'm drawing the connection of Jim Crow, as some may know. For quite some time, I have believed white people in power knew what they were doing when in 1976 Congress decreed to establish February as Black History Month, appeasing black leaders who pushed for this recognition at a time they knew it was no big deal. Now, when I say that, I'm saying that I am skeptical of the motives of white people who celebrate and enjoy Black History Month. I'm also saying that you're not fooling me. Every February, you run around and you celebrate Black History Month, but when you really look at it, something's not adding up. Think of it this way. Do you white people today treat black people with the same respect that we all enjoy of those in our Black history? And yes, I'm talking about all of the greats. And I mean, the list is too long. I'm going to continue reading here. And in reading this, I say that the proof of what I say, you need not look more than, you need not look more than how Colin Kaepernick was treated. The proof, look at how even some successful blacks are treated today. Now, a lot of people who were upset with Colin Kaepernick and his stance, his kneeling, said he was not much of a quarterback anyway. He needs to be out of the league. Well, that's not true. And the fact that we have treated this man with such disrespect, he has a profession. He is a quarterback, and he can't get a job because white America won't let him have a job. So to celebrate Black history and to disrespect a man like Colin Kaepernick, who's standing up or kneeling for respect of black people, well, I'm saying, what did Black history do if this is the way he's being treated? And I'm not saying just him, because there's many people, if you look at today, who are treated just like Colin Kaepernick. No respect. Let me continue reading. January, as Black Power Month, would be a break from an outdated tradition. The status quo of every February looking at our history as if, for nothing else, checking to see that it's still back there is no way to move forward. I'm all for inspiring stories of blacks in history. But just as in my school days, too often the stories were told through the mouths of white teachers or blacks hanging on to the past. We must concentrate on looking towards our future, using our power to love ourselves, respect ourselves, and educate ourselves as a guide for Black Americans to follow throughout the year. This should be our goal. Now, when Carter G. Woodson first came up with Black History Week, he did a good thing. He was a history historian, excuse me, and he saw that there was a lack of blacks being credited with the successes of America at the time. This is 1926. And so he decided to come up with a way to honor black folks at the time. But as I continue reading here, Carter G. Woodson rightly highlighted the accomplishments of blacks when he came up with the ideal of celebrating what he called Black Negro History Week. He also rightly believed celebrating black history should be temporary. But 90 plus years later, in no way suggests temporary. Well, if Carter G. Woodson thought that it should be temporary, why are we hanging on to it? That's my issue. Why are we hanging on to it as if it's the only thing we black folks have? Do I need to remind you that we have a black president that did 8 years in the White House? Do I need to remind people of the many successes of black people throughout the 20th century? So the issue is why do we need a reminder when we have reminders every day? We don't need to go way back into the past as if there was nothing going on today. Now, my article here is going to take a strange turn towards the end. But let me continue reading. I have great reverence, appreciation, and respect to the many blacks who have walked and suffered seeking civil rights for all blacks. And it is partly why I can hold my head up. But I am determined to make them as proud of me as I am of them. And without an ounce of shame, I am still more concerned with black future than black history. I say that because it's basic. Well, I don't know what you call it. It's, if I can bring in the Bible. When people talk about whatever in the Bible about looking back, it's not a good thing. If I can invoke the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, a lot of people talk about the evils of Sodom and Gomorrah. But the one thing that I recall most from that biblical story is the fact that when God told Abraham that he can get Lot and his family out of this evil place, he did so with the admonition of do not look back. But Lot's wife couldn't resist the temptation. Were they perfect? No. But he said, don't look back. And so Lot's wife looked back. And what happened to her? She turned into a pillar of salt. Now, okay, you don't believe the story actually happened. Well, I do. And even if it was just a metaphor, I still believe you cannot go forward by looking backwards. Now, there's some people who famously say, how can you know where you're going if you don't know where you've been? Oh, I've heard that. Frankly, it don't make any sense to me. But I'm going to continue reading and invoke that. Concentrating on our future by loving ourselves, respecting ourselves, and educating ourselves is the best way to help many still struggling Black Americans move forward in spite of the political force mainly hindering too many blacks from achieving their dreams. But Maya Angelou said it differently. And I quote, I have great respect for the past. If you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. That's the part I don't get. I have great, I have respect for the past, she says, but I am a person of the moment. I'm here, and I do my best to be completely centered at the place I'm at. Then I go forward to the next place. End quote. Woodson knew there would be a day when it was no longer needed to highlight the great deeds of blacks in American history, or in need of a special extended period of recognition, meaning a whole month, let alone what he started, which was a week or two. And he currently did not expect us to be still waiting more than 90 years to be respected. I saw a cute 8-year-old white boy play the piano like Beethoven. And as I saw this cute white boy playing the piano, I'm trying to pull it up here. There you go. I noticed something. I was right to be amazed and praise this young boy's ability. But seeing what Woodson started in 1926, which led to our present day Black History Month some 90 years later, makes blacks appear to be cute little white boys and girls with talent beyond their years. What do I mean by that? I'm basically saying that why are we so shocked when black people do something that's praiseworthy, other than running the fastest or some athletic feat? Now, I confess, when I see a black astronaut or even a black pilot, hey, I don't see too many of them. So, of course, I'm going to be impressed and, ooh, look at that. But in no way am I suggesting that we should constantly, in the month of February, highlight what we do every day of the year. Black pilots fly planes every day of the year. And if we don't know it, it's because we can't afford to be in flying all around the country. And I'm not saying blacks don't fly. I'm saying that how else are you going to see them? I used to be a draftsman. And in all my 20 years of drafting, I had many, many successful engineers building most of San Francisco and surrounding areas. But the sharpest man that I knew who was a designer was a black man named Alex Brown. And this uh, designer was so sharp, and he had the tools. He just was great at math, I guess. I don't know what it was. But the fact of the matter is the combination of what he drew, what he designed and I drew was very impressive over the years that I stayed at this one company. And I've worked for many, many people in engineering. And I can't think of anybody who's better. Now, there is one that comes close who was a white man who helped me greatly. But the fact of the matter is all over this country, black people have proven we know what we're doing. And I have the utmost respect, for those who have worked harder to show America, white America, hey, this is who I am. But let me continue on reading here. Now, with no disrespect to all cute little 8-year-old white boys, celebrating Black History Month 90 plus years later, after Woodson first came up with it, is like patting a cute 8-year-old white boy on the head because he can play piano like Beethoven. For America to pat black Americans on the head every February for their great accomplishments throughout the history of America is white America appeasing the status quo blacks. And for black America to continue celebrating this condescending status quo recognition explains why we continue to struggle with being respected as equals in America. If blacks are going to ever be respected in America, we must first reject status quo recognition. Then we must practice and teach self-respect. Then and only then will we not see this country as white America, but our America too. Now, I have to say that how did I come up with writing this article? I was annoyed by the fact that San Francisco, a board of supervisors, Shannon Walton, had come up with the ideal of reparations, studying reparations for blacks in San Francisco. He wants to put together a committee or study to see how reparations for blacks can be done here in San Francisco. Well, I'm against it. Let's just say every black person in San Francisco ended up with $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. Let's give them $1 million. Every black person in San Francisco could afford to do it. Well, where do you think that money is going to mostly end up? In the hands of white men. That's exactly the way it is. So don't fall into the trap, is what I'm saying. Because the only reparations that black people need, in my humble opinion, is the reparation of respect. We have respected white folks, and we need white folks to respect us. And by giving me a check is not respect. Giving me a job is respect. Now, I'm not talking about me. I'm 63 years old and I'm not looking for a job. But I know that there's way too many educated black people who are not getting proper work. They're getting crumbs. And I'm saying that these crumbs are not what are going to help us. And though there's an awful lot of people who refuse to get up and get for themselves, I must remind you of the great uh, James Brown, who said, I don't want nobody giving me nothing. Just open up the door. I'll get it myself. That door is respect. James Brown is saying, not these reparations. That's not respect. You're just shutting people up. You know how you see a little kid and he's just crying and crying and crying for attention, and you give him something to shut up? That's exactly what reparations are. And I reject it, and I recommend that all black people reject it. Now, of course, there's going to be some people who are saying, oh no, give me the money. You know, well, this is not, what's that movie, Tom Cruise in? I don't know. Show me the money. No. Show me the respect. And when you show me the respect, I'll be able to do all that I need to do to succeed in this America. And I'm saying that if more black people concentrate on looking on in the future, you will see we do have a bright future if we grab a hold of it. But right now, too many blacks are not grabbing hold of what is in front. They're looking at what's behind. Now, don't get me wrong. When you look at the ills like Colin Kaepernick pointed out, he's basically looking forward. But his stance to protest what white America is doing to his fellow black man, he said, wait a minute. I have come up, but I see clearly that you're not treating my fellow man right. And he has paused, just as Maya Angelou has said. But she is now, as she then moved forward, he too is trying to move forward. I had put it this way. If you're going up a hill, and let's say you get tired, but your goal is up to the top, but you just can't make it all to the top in one stretch. Do you go back down the hill and then try and go all up there at once? No. You stop wherever, you rest, you take a look, where you're at, and you continue on up. That's what Colin Kaepernick did. And I'm saying that he wants other black people to have the same opportunities that he enjoyed. He does continue to have black joy. And him having this black joy, he wants to share it with others. But if they're getting shot in the back when they ain't even got a weapon by white police, how is he going to share that joy with them? They're continually getting gunned down. He has the right attitude. And I'm sure that he, too, loves black history. But I'm saying we need to look forward, not backwards. And until we concentrate